Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for this week's topic, we want to address something a bit tricky related to sales tax assigned on project expense transactions. So quite often we receive feedback from the customer not understanding on my project expense journal why I'm seeing the sales tax group assigned, where this value is defaulted from, and how I can default a different value. So that really makes it a bit complex with the project expense having both cost and revenue side. So in this episode, I'm going to give you a clear definition of cost sales tax and also revenue sales tax, and then show you step by step where those values are defaulted and how you can make changes if needed. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Now, before we get into the technical configuration aspect, I want to clarify the concept of sales tax occurred for a cost side and at the same time for a revenue side. Just a quick example. Let's say I'm a consultant working for a consulting company, and at the same time, we do service for an end customer, help them implementing Dynamics 365. All good. And let's say during project go live, now as a consultant, I need to be on site and provide services. So obviously, I'm going to have some travel expenses. So when I purchase that airfare ticket, I'm going to see a sales tax applied on my airfare. So that's basically the sales tax we talk about on the cost side. So that's the cost that occurs for this travel, right? And then at the same time, let's say at month end, my consulting company is going to charge the end customer to get the reimbursement of this travel, right? And then on that part, we're going to consider that as a sales tax occurred for the revenue portion when we invoice the end customer for this travel expenses. I hope that makes it clear. So on a project expense transaction, you're going to have the possibility in Dynamics to assign a different sales tax group for both cost and revenue side. And now we're going to get into the technical details to help you understand which value is assigned by default and how you can change those. So now let me get into project management accounting. I'm going to show you an example. So I'm going to open up all projects and open up that testing project I created. So I will filter on project name, test. Okay, let's use this project. So for this project, first thing I want to show you is you have a sales tax group here assigned with UT as value for this project. So basically, this value sales tax group is going to apply on all the transactions created within this project. We're going to see that in a second. So now let's see, I want to create an expense journal. So I will go to project, enter journals, click expense, and then let's create a new expense transaction. I'll just call it tax demo. Okay, and then let's go to lines. So first thing, as we talked about cost and revenue side, right? Let's first talk about the revenue side of sales tax. So we have seen previously, we have UT assigned on the project level. So basically that's your default sales tax group value on this expense transaction. Let's check it out. So it's going to be under project tab. And you see this sales tax group now is showing UT defaulted from your project sales tax group value. And now where does item sales tax group come from? So this is basically linked to your project category. So if I go back to my overview, you see the category I selected is travel. And if I click on this hyperlink, that brings me to that project category where you see there is an item sales tax group with the default value all. So that's where those two fields under project tab are automatically populated by the system, right? So now let's say we have talked about the revenue side. It's straightforward. So when you finally do the project invoicing step, you're going to see those two values applied to calculate sales tax. All good. But what about the cost side for the sales tax calculation, right? So on a journal, you're going to see that under General tab. So first, you have the sales tax section handling the cost side. and you have sales tax group blank without any default value, and item sales tax group assigned to hours defaulted. Now, we need to understand where those values are coming from and how we can change the default value. So let's start with the straightforward one, the item sales tax group. I'm going to open up another tab so I can show you where this is actually coming from. So I have already this page open. You can see it's under general ledger. Actually, for the cost side, everything is defined within GL, right? And then I will scroll to the right and open up general ledger parameters. So in the parameters, open up the sales tax section. So here is your default value, item sales tax group defined to hours for now. So that explains why we see this hours assigned automatically. Okay, so that's addressed. If you want to change to another default value, just do that in the GL parameters. Now, let's talk about the sales tax group. So we have created a Microsoft ticket and got some insights from the product team. So this is actually by design that there is no default value assigned because your cost sales tax can be different from your revenue sales tax group. And depending on the category, you can have different sales tax group applied. So it's very hard to define a default value. So that's why by default and by design, this field is blank. So user first option is to manually select a value here from this drop-down list. But now let's say we really want to use a workaround to have a default value applied. It's not going to change for my organization. So if that's the case, what you can do is this workaround I'm going to show you now. So again, I'm going to use that other tab. I opened it. And then actually, again, that's under general ledger. You can do that default. So that's under main accounts. Again, I select GL. And then let's go to main accounts here. So based on the category, you can define a default sales tax group on the GL level. So for example, in our case, it's travel. I will go back to my main account and then find that travel GL account. Okay, so now I have the 601500 travel expense. So what you can do is under legal entity overrides, I'm going to add one for my legal entity. USSI, I'm going to filter it and then select add this legal entity. So what you can do here, there is an option for sales tax, right? If I click here, I will be able to assign a default value for this GL travel expense. So that means every time when user selected that travel expense category, it's going to have this sales tax group defined here. This is the most refined level, has the top level of priority in terms of default, right? So in my case, let's say I just put UT as well. And then you also have this item sales tax group. So basically, the system will first define if you have anything set up under your GL parameters that I just showed you before. That's level 1 priority. And then in case on this GL account level, you have another item sales tax group, which is different from the default one on the parameter table, then the system is going to use this top priority or most refined posting. So in my case, I changed this value to all. And then under GL parameters, we just saw the value is hours, right? So I expect the system to use this all value to override the default value assigned on the GL parameter. So now once I'm done, I will click OK and save the changes. So now let's go back to my project expense journal. So I'll need to delete this line first to make sure the changes I made can take effect. So I will add a new line. So again, now category travel, and then I can pick a resource, it doesn't matter, Wendy, and quantity 1, I'm going to give a cost price 100, sales price 200. Let's assume there's a margin applied. Okay, and now you see the offset GL account 601500. This is the exact travel expense where we made changes on the sales tax group, right? So let's check it out. First, on revenue side, there's no impact. Those values are defaulted as expected. On cost side, you see now the sales tax group has the value UT assigned, and then item sales tax group also changed from hours to all. So that means what we have done here at the GL account level really overrides the default setting. So let's go back. And then now when you click sales tax, you should be able to see the calculated sales amount of total 1236. All right, so from here, you will be able to post your transaction. And once you post, that sales tax through posting is going to show you the cost side in the general tab based on those two parameters, right? And then let's say once your expense journal gets invoiced within this project through an invoice proposal, you are going to see the sales tax group applied and the project type from those two values, right? And basically, this is how a project expense journal will work for both the calculation of sales tax for the cost side and the revenue side. All right, so with that, we have clarified where that default value comes from and how you can define a default value. So again, I hope this video is helpful, and feel free to comment if you want to share some thoughts, and like, subscribe to support me to continue to grow this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.